We don't want to feel like that we have to do this to make you happy or do that. To make you happy or be this to make you happy. We just want to be free to be ourselves. And, you know, we've all got a little bit of uniqueness, and you're not going to find two people that are exactly alike. And often, especially in marriage, it becomes a real issue because we usually marry someone that is opposite of us. We're attracted to somebody that has what we don't have, although we really don't understand that's why we're attracted to them. And then we get married and we start trying to change them and make them be like us. And I know that was a real problem for Dave and I for a lot of years. And I'm so glad that we both got over it, because now we've been married 55 years. And you know, I'm proud of that, because there's not a lot of people that make it that long. And actually, we probably have more fun now, get along better now, than we ever have. And there's many, many things that I love and appreciate about Dave, but the thing that I love the most is he really lets me be who I am. Even though I have little annoying habits, I'm impatient, I'm sure I can name a whole bunch of different things, but he actually, things that many people would think were faults, he actually laughs at me and thinks it's funny, because he knows that that's just the way I am. But you know, I went through a period in my life, and I'm sure that most of you have too, where I really felt pressured to be like this person or that person or some other person. And sometimes other people do pressure us, but sometimes they don't even have to pressure us. We put the pressure on ourselves. And you know, it's really important that you learn how to accept yourself and be yourself, because God is never going to help you be somebody else. We always say, be yourself. Everybody else is already taken. And so people do, many times, try to get you to do things the way they do them. Now that comes out of pride. We all think that the way we do things is the best way, and so we're always trying to encourage other people to do it our way. Well, maybe you'll get some good ideas from somebody, and it might be great to say, yeah, you know, that's a good idea. I think I will try it that way. But if it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't fit you, or if you don't feel that that's the way that you should do it, then you need to be bold and courageous enough to say, I appreciate your advice, and you can just say, I'll pray about it or whatever, but you really need to have the boldness to be who you are. You have to take ownership of your life and be like yourself, love yourself. Don't always try to be somebody else. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, 37 through 39, this is a story about David when he faced Goliath. Now, you know, we all have giants in our life, and we all deal with our giants a little bit differently. And it says the Lord, first of all, he wanted to go fight Goliath. Many other people had been afraid to even try. But David had this real special relationship with God because he was a little shepherd boy, spent a lot of time by himself out shepherding and being alone all night with the sheep. And I'm sure that he grew very, very close to the Lord during that time. And so there was a time when he had been attacked by a bear, another time when he'd been attacked by a lion, and God delivered him both of those times. So he had a real strong faith in God, really trusted that he could do things that would actually look like they would be impossible. Do you have the courage to believe that you can do things that nobody else has ever done? Do you have the courage to believe that you can do something that even to you seems impossible, but you believe that it's something God has asked you to do? You know, anything that he asks you to do, he will help you do. I feel like I need to say that again, because there's somebody or several somebodies that God has asked you to do something, and you're putting it off and putting it off and putting it off because you just don't believe you can. Well, you need to realize that God is never going to ask you to do something without giving you the ability to do it. You can do whatever God asks you to do. And so nobody thought that David could beat Goliath, including King Saul. And so Saul finally agreed to let him go. But Saul dressed David in his own armor. He put his tunic on him. He put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. And it says David fastened on his sword over the tunic and tried walking around because he was not used to them. I cannot go in these, he said to Saul, because I am not used to them. So he took them off. And I love that. He had the boldness to even stand up, I'm sure respectfully, to the king and say, this is not going to work for me. I can't do this. I'm not used to this. Well, you know, if you know the story of David and Goliath, he actually ended up killing Goliath with a slingshot. Well, that wouldn't be the normal way that you'd try to fight a giant, but David was really not depending on the slingshot or any other weapon. He was depending on God. And you know, many times that's where we make our mistake. We're depending on our natural ability or our natural talent, and we need to be depending on God, because God can cause you to do things that you would have never thought you could do. With men it's impossible, but with God all things are possible. David fastened his sword over the tunic and tried to go. He said, I can't do it like this, so he took them off. You know, we may tend to study great men and women that have gone before us. I know I went through this. I would read books about great intercessors, people who sometimes prayed for days at a time, all day long. There was a man named Rees Howell. I read a book about him. There was another man called Praying Hyde. His last name was Hyde. And they had such tremendously amazing prayer lives, and God had given them a gift. But I would read those books and then think, well, you know, I need to be able to pray like that. Or maybe I would read a book about the miracles of Catherine Kuhlman's ministry, or Amy Semple McPherson, or Maria Woodworth Etter, and think, well, why can't I do the things that they did? Let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like you should be able to do what somebody else does? Well, other people can be a good example to us, but you know, just because somebody else can do something doesn't mean we can do it. And we have to remember, I want you to get this, the only reason they can do what they can do is because God has gifted them to be able to do that. We don't need to be jealous of them. We can admire what they can do, but we have to remember they can only do it because of God. God has given them a gift of faith in that area, and they're able to do things with ease that would be impossible for us. You can read about the faith of Smith Wigglesworth. I've read a lot of books by a woman named Madame Guyon, and she had such a special, close relationship with God. Or Practicing the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. Boy, he talks about how he never let more than just a few seconds go by without thinking of God, and I've tried that and tried it so many times, and it just doesn't seem to work for me. And you know, I don't believe that God has people write books so we can try to be like them. I think it's just for our encouragement. I have to be me, and you have to be you. I can read about the martyrdom of Joan of Arc and wonder, could I do that? Would I be willing to be burned at the stake if I had to be? You know, standing here right now, I don't know, but I have to believe if that's what God called me to do, that he would give me the grace to be able to do that. I'm really pleading with you today to stop trying to be somebody else. As I said, other people can be a good example to you, but boy, you get yourself in real trouble when you start trying to be who they are or do what they do. I remember a young girl who came to me and she said, you know, Joyce, there's an early morning prayer meeting at my church, and she said, most of my friends are going, and she said, they keep trying to get me to go, but I just don't feel in my heart that I'm supposed to do that. And she said, what I really want to do is I would love to watch their children for them while they go. Well, you see, God's got everything covered if we'll just listen to him. He put it on her heart to watch their children, and he put it on their heart to go and pray. But they were trying to get her to go do what they had been called to do. And you know, there's two sides to this. We want to be bold enough to be who we are, but we also need to be careful that we're not trying to get other people